Miss Joseph here. I wanted to read chapter 4 of The White Giraffe by Lauren St. John to you guys. I actually haven't gotten up off this couch since I started reading chapter 2. It's just been so good. So I hope that we can enjoy chapter 4 just as much as the other ones. Alright, here is the picture for chapter 4. And here we go. Afterward, Martine would always remember her first journey to Sawubona, a name that Tendai explained was a Zulu greeting. He was from the Zulu tribe himself. They took the coastal road out to Cape Town, riding in his battered jeep past a series of magical bays and inlets where the sea was navy blue against a clear sky. Some beaches were wild with flying spray and forest growing almost to the shore. Some had rainbow beach huts and surfers riding the breakers on bright boards. Some had rocky colonies of penguins or seals, and all of them were overlooked by the mauve-gray cliffs of a flat-top mountain, which was called, for obvious reasons, Table Mountain. After about an hour, they turned inland, and Martine was amazed at how quickly the scenery changed from a heathery type of vegetation and became like the Africa she'd always seen in photographs. Pale, spiky thorn trees and ragged shrubs dotted the long yellow grass, which glowed beneath the blazing summer sun as if it was lit from underneath. The empty road stretched on forever. Martine rolled down her window in the hot cab, and the dusty animal smell of the bush poured into the jeep. Tendai talked about Sawubona, I don't know how to say it, sorry, along the way, describing his job as a tracker at the game reserve. Sawubona, it turned out, was not just a game reserve, it was a wildlife sanctuary, and in Tendai's role to check on the progress of every animal, and it was Tendai's role to check on the progress of every animal in the park. About a quarter of the animals at Sawubona had been born there, but all the rest had been rescued. Some came from drought-stricken areas or game reserves or zoos that had gone out of business. Others had been brought to Sawubona with injuries or because they'd been orphaned in hunts or calls. In 20 years, Tendai said, I never saw Henry Thomas, your grandfather, turn a single animal away, not even one. This was the first mention there had been of her grandfather, and Martine pricked up her ears. But Tendai's next sentence caught her totally off guard. I'm so sorry, Miss Martine, that I wasn't there at his side, watching over him the night that he died. Martine's head was already spinning from jet lag and lack of food, and this news made it spin a little more. It was clear that it hadn't occurred to Tendai that she might not know she even had a grandfather, let alone that he had died. She said carefully, Would it be okay if you told me what happened? Tendai's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Ebo, I can try. It turned out that nearly 2 years had passed since her grandfather's death, and yet the events surrounding it were still shrouded in mystery. The police theory was that Henry had stumbled upon a gang of poachers trying to steal a couple of giraffes, or maybe kill them for trophies. It had happened on a weekend when Tendai was away in the north of the country visiting his relatives, a weekend when Sawubona was at its most vulnerable. There had been a struggle. When it was over, Henry had been fatally wounded and the giraffes left for dead. There was no telephone in the village where I was staying, said Tendai, so I never knew that this terrible thing had happened until I returned on Monday. By then it was much too late. In the summer, many Zulus asked the Rain Queen to bless their fields with rain, but that week it seems she had been listening far too well. For days the storms had been washing away the tracks, and the police in their vehicles had been driving all over the grounds. By the third day, when I came, there was no sign to be found. None of the hunters had ever been caught. To this day, nobody knows whether Henry had been murdered or just shot by accident in the struggle. Most puzzling of all was why the poachers had fled without the giraffes they had so obviously come for. Did the police manage to find any clues? Martine asked worriedly. It was sad to hear about her grandfather, but it was even more disturbing to know there were killers on the loose in the very place she was expected to make her new home. Shh! Those baboons! Don't worry, little one. Even the spider leaves a trail. It might take some years, but eventually we will find who did this. Maybe, if we are patient enough, they will even find us. The Zulu's face had darkened during the conversation, and now he gave himself a little shake, as though remembering that he and Martine had only just met, and perhaps he was saying more than he should. He smiled his amazing smile. Your grandfather had a warrior's heart, he told her. He was the best game warden, number one. Martine felt a pang for the grandfather. Sorry, I don't know if I said grandmother or grandfather. He's talking about the grandfather. He was the best game warden, number one. Martine felt a pang for the grandfather she had never known. He sounded like a good man. The new game warden was a young man by the name of Alex Dupreez. There was something in the way that Tendai said his name that gave Martine the impression that Mr. Dupreez was not on Tendai's list of top 10 favorite people. Alright, here's where it changes a bit. Let's see how much is left. Yeah, we'll go ahead and finish this chapter. Alright. They were passing a village of thatched huts and scattered houses with sunflowers and maize stalks in the yards. A group of African children were playing soccer in a field. The jeep slowed and turned onto a driveway overhung by banana palms. At the end of it was a pale green house with a corrugated iron roof. A peeling Coca-Cola sign was propped against one wall. 3 chickens wandered out through the front door. Sounds like the chickens at my mom's farm. They don't go in the house, though, obviously. But here they do, I guess. Okay, distraction. Sorry, here we go. Martine climbed out of the jeep. Is this my grandmother's house? She asked, unable to hide her surprise. She wasn't sure what she was expecting, but it wasn't this. No, child. Tendai is just bringing you to see me. Martine turned around to see one of the fattest women she had ever encountered waddling toward her across the threadbare lawn. She was wearing a traditional African dress in the most brilliant colors, with a matching headscarf of banana yellow, Kalahari red, and lime green. I told him you would be hungry, the woman continued in a voice as warm as buttermilk. And I see I'm right. Look at you, child. You just skin and bone. Miss Martine, meet my aunt, Miss Grace, said Tendai with evident pride, the best cook in the world. They followed Grace into the little greenhouse. The smells coming from the kitchen were divine. She and Tendai made themselves comfortable on handmade wooden chairs in Grace's simple but spotless living room. There was a woven grass mat on the floor and an out-of-date calendar on the wall depicting a tropical island. In a matter of minutes, Grace emerged from the kitchen with 2 huge plates containing omelets made from fresh farm eggs and wild mushrooms, a heap of crispy bacon, and tomatoes fried with brown sugar. Martine felt as if she hadn't eaten in years, and she savored every mouthful in silence. By the time she had finished, she agreed with Tendai wholeheartedly. Grace was the best cook in the world. She turned to Grace to thank her and found the woman watching her intently. Child looks just like Veronica, Grace commented to Tendai. Martine jumped as if she had been scalded. Yeah. You knew my mom? She cried. Aunt, shouted Tendai, leaping to his feet. I told you not to say anything. Quiet, boy, ordered Grace. There be too many secrets at Sawubona. The child has the right to know the truth. What truth? Demanded Martine. Miss Martine, said Tendai, I'm sorry, we must go now, but please. Martine looked from one to the other, her head buzzing with questions that it was clear she was not going to be allowed to ask. Grudgingly, she followed Tendai out to the jeep. Grace grabbed her arm. Wait, she said. She put her hand on Martine's forehead, and Martine felt an electric current pass through her. Grace's eyes widened. You have a gift, you have the gift, child, she whispered, just like the forefathers said. What gift? Martine whispered back. But Grace just shook her head. Be very careful. The gift can be a blessing or a curse. Make your decisions wisely. And that's the end of that chapter. Oh my goodness, I wonder what's going on. Okay, this is a picture for chapter 5. So that's cool. It seems like we're going to get to see some wildlife. Alright, I hope that you guys enjoyed all of those chapters today. I know I did, but now I have some work to do. So I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to reading with you again soon. Alright, bye.